He is Patrick Ewing, 18 years old, a high school senior, 7 feet tall. Until 6 years ago, he had never seen a basketball.
The first time I saw Patrick Ewing play was at the Boston Shootout. We go up to this tournament, and we see this kid just blocking everything. You can't get the ball past him. Guy drives the basket, he blocks the shot. Guy shoots a jump shot, he blocks that too. They pass it to the weak side, he sprints over to the weak side and he blocks it. All he did was block every shot. I sort of said to myself, if we're in the same class, I got a lot of catching up to do.
Physically dominant, mean, was gonna block your shot and knock you down and stare at you. Everything he did had an aggressive tone to it.
He was Bill Russell, is what people said.
Patrick's defense was suffocating, constantly moving around to deter shots at the rim. His motor allowed him to always be alert for finishes, and his mobility made it hard for most opponents to escape. Like on this play, forcing his man to double clutch on a tough shot. He was smart to take charges, adding even more defensive value. His awareness for offensive rebounds was great as well, stopping not one, but 2 shots at the rim. On shooters, he consistently closed out on shots, making even mid-range jumpers become a tricky avenue of attack. When guarding bigs similar to him, he held his own very well, completely stuffing Hakeem at the point of release. This combination of strength, speed, and defensive motor made him one of the greatest shot blockers in college history, hitting over 3 blocks a game in 1984. Even when he couldn't get the block, he forced a lot of turnovers, either through a steal or forcing a travel. All this disruption on the defensive end created a lot of transition offense for teammates. Still, he could get some minor errors, sometimes jumping on pump fakes too much, which leads to defensive breakdowns. One of his biggest value adds, however, was on offense. His movement off the ball was great, consistently sealing for offensive rebounds to get easy buckets. At this point, he showed some shooting potential, but he still wasn't as fluid as he would be in later years. During this time, he was a 65% three-throw shooter, so still needed to see a major improvement. A nice piece of his game was his passing ability, consistently hitting cutters and shooters from the post. Seen here pushing up a pass in transition before the window closes. Throwing an advanced pass that leads to a dunk. Then hitting the shooter with a swing pass from the left side. This is a bucket in the NBA. Making this type of passing is super valuable. This dynamic passing from the post, hitting cutters, was extremely important and showed even more passing potential, even though there were some turnover concerns. Ewing was still a generational defensive prospect with a great offensive floor and potential. If he could build on this in his senior year, his ceiling would be even higher.
Tall from Cambridge, Mass, number 33 at center, Patrick Ewing.
Coming off a championship win over Hakeem Olajuwon, senior year Ewing was a force to be reckoned with. He picked up right where he left off in '84, becoming an even better defensive player. His activity on the boards was constant, almost never missing one when in range. The level of constant movement allowed him to blow up passes around the rim as well. Here he contains the jumper and gets the rebound. His rim protection took an even bigger jump, as a lot of the defensive errors we saw in '84 were much more cleaned out, and his block hunting tendencies were lowered. Here on these two possessions, he gives a volleyball slap to the front row, closing 5 feet of distance both times. Because his help was so early, opposing guards tried to attack the opposite side, where another big would wait for him. But even then, Ewing can jump above his teammate and still block the shot. He was nice on the perimeter in general, stuffing jump shots consistently, blocking Chris Mullin here. Oh, and I guess he didn't learn, so Patrick Ewing does it again. Many times these shots push the tempo of the game, helping his team start their fast break. Although he didn't get every shot, his mixture of help defense, motor, mobility, rim protection, and IQ made him an even better defensive player than before. Just how high could his offensive heights reach? On the boards, he was as active there as he was on defense, constantly hitting putbacks and jump shots. His post game was not deep but consistent, having a strong seal-off game and a jumper at this point that was a good one, hitting them at a high rate. He showed even shooting off screens at times, showing even more potential. However, his center of gravity was a limitation. As when doubled, these tough post jumpers became harder for him to generate. Along with bad shot selection, he was just so wobbly at times, getting pushed off his spot before the release, altering the shot. And although his passing had taken another step this season, there were still a lot of turnover concerns in the half court and in the post, throwing bad passes and getting snatched at times. Now for Ewing's player evaluations. On defense, I viewed his potential to be a future GOAT level defender, and his offensive potential to be a high level all-star. His off-ball scoring, shooting, passing, and elite defense stand out a lot to me, and most weaknesses I felt could be built upon. His foul concerns are there, but can overall be worked around. This is all to say that Patrick Ewing is arguably the best prospect of the 1980s, and easily one of the best prospects of all time. Next time on Greatest Prospects.
There's one person missing from the last day, though not through omission or oversight. One talented force of nature likely would have changed the course even of Michael Jordan's story, possibly of pro basketball history. Glenn Bias, a great many people thought was going to be that impactful.